Here is the wonderful number 7 by Conny Mendez. Introduction. The number 7 symbolizes a state of totality and indicates that a special stage has been reached at a certain moment. Everything in creation goes through 7 stages of activity, then automatically comes a moment of rest. 7 is a final point that demands rest to then embark on a new series of 7 stages. Our Sun has 7 planets in orbit because it is governed by the number 7, and scientists will soon discover that any other planet outside the original 7 does not belong to our system. 7 are the colors of our prism. 7 are the musical tones. 7 are the days of the week. 7 are the gifts of the Holy Spirit. 7 are the gestation months for a human being to live in the air. 7 are the ages of man. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, to reach maturity, authority, and freedom. 7 are the stages that every manifestation goes through from the moment the desire is expressed until the demonstration becomes visible. The length of your head should be 7 times that of your total height. If you have more or less, you are not in harmony. In this book, I present some other little-known but very important 7s for your spiritual development and evolution. In this system, I assume that you have studied and put into practice the teachings of the first 2 metaphysical books entitled Metaphysics Made Easy. I give you what you desire. If you have not done so, you will lose much in understanding because it is a graduated teaching that awakens in you the necessary cells for its comprehension and realization. There is a maxim that says, when the disciple is ready, the master appears. If you are interested in this audiobook that you have before you, it means that the time has come to acquire this teaching. So, start from the beginning to not lose anything, and fully enjoy your current incarnation. You will not regret it. Conny Mendez, the Saint-Germain Fraternity. The Saint-Germain Fraternity was founded by Conny Mendez in 1945 to bring together all metaphysics students. The Saint-Germain Fraternity has no legal personality, no defined physical headquarters, no direct leadership or legal affiliation, as it is purely spiritual. You automatically become a member of the Saint-Germain Fraternity by reading any book from Conny Mendez's Metaphysics collection or from Master Saint-Germain and fully agreeing with its teachings. The Saint-Germain Fraternity is not opposed to any religion, spiritual group, or specific person. Its attitude lovingly includes all expressions of life on all planes, realms, elements, religions, social classes, races, genders, and nationalities. Objectives of the Saint-Germain Fraternity. 1. Study the law of mentalism and other universal laws. 2. Practice the presence of God through Christ and the powerful word of I am, which is the name of God. See Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. 3. Make known the ascended masters of the Great White Brotherhood and their teachings for this new era known as the Saint-Germain Golden Age. 4. Familiarize humanity with the use of the 7 rays, especially that of the violet flame, which is the sacred transmuting fire. 5. Enable human beings to know their 7 bodies and the 7 planes of manifestation. 6. Put into practice the law of divine love and forgiveness for all life, and have as a principle love and forgiveness. 7. May every human being be happy, and may this happiness be a reality in their home, neighborhood, city, country, and planet, to victoriously accomplish the ascension of all streams of life, and consequently, the entire planet Earth. The Saint-Germain Fraternity does not engage in or support any activities related to extrasensory communications, black magic, practices that violate free will, rituals, ceremonies, diets, physically imposed disciplines by a personality, or future predictions. It does not confer ranks, initiations, or titles because it acknowledges that in the Christic domain, all human beings are equal. The Saint-Germain Fraternity has a completely free planetary perimeter coverage. In any location on the planet, any number of students can gather under its name without any type of human leadership. The sole authority and head of the Saint-Germain Fraternity is Master Saint-Germain himself. The books from Conny Mendez's Metaphysics collection, the books from Saint-Germain, and those from the Ascended Masters are the textbooks of the Saint-Germain fraternity. Conny Mendez describes that the normal state of the metaphysical members of the Saint-Germain fraternity is described in Psalm 91, which you can find in the book Think Good, and It Will Be Given to You by the same author. The title and affiliation with the Saint-Germain fraternity are freely available for use and entry, under which all metaphysical groups, workshops, foundations, and nuclei worldwide can gather without seeking permission from anyone. There is no form of exclusion or expulsion within it, because individuals themselves depart from the fraternity by ceasing to practice its teachings. The Saint-Germain fraternity is not associated with any political movement and does not accept any controversy, hostility, denigration, or criticism within its working nuclei. It does not ask for money for teaching, does not indirectly collect funds, but rather receives loving donations and legally and authorizedly sells books, CDs, and images of the Ascended Masters. The Saint-Germain fraternity and all its members worldwide are engaged in the work of global goodwill that the Masters know and serve. The symbol of the Saint-Germain fraternity is the Maltese cross with the heart and the triple flame, and its anthem is the I Am Perfect, both authorized by Conny Mendez and currently owned and freely usable by all humanity. The encompassing spirit of Master Saint-Germain will guide any student and spiritual group joining the study of the Golden Age under his name. The Lord's Prayer is a prayer that unites all religions, according to Master Emmett Fox. It is a condensed formula for spiritual development, composed with great care by Master Jesus for a specific purpose, of bringing about a radical change in the soul. This prayer is written in 7 parts or clauses. Our Father, who art in heaven. Even the poorest father ensures that his children do not suffer, and if the father is rich, he provides for his children according to his wealth. Being in heaven is a condition of perfect happiness in all its aspects. By uttering these words, you admit, confess, and affirm that your Father is also the Father of all. You will pray for your neighbor and respond to the law of love. What follows in the prayer is preceded by this condition. You will ask it in the name of all of us, your brothers. Say it with this intention, and blessed be your brother. The son must always be of the same nature as the father. It is inconceivable that a horse could give birth to a goat, that an ant could give birth to a bee, that a bird could hatch an orchid, or that a man could give birth to a mouse. If the Father is a divine spirit with all his gifts and powers, living in a state of grace where everything he wishes, thinks, affirms, or decrees instantly manifests, then the Son shares in his blood, nature, gifts, and powers. It cannot be otherwise. Children, we are in heaven, in a state of grace, and all we have to do is discover how to manifest it. I teach you how to manifest it. You are in heaven if you desire it, and you do not have to become a zero, a martyr, an anchorite, none of that. Live in the world that our Father has given you. Enjoy your heaven, but remember to give thanks and say once a day the first clause with all the attention and intention you can muster. Hallowed be thy name. The name of God is I Am. You already know this. The Spirit told Moses when he asked, You also know that you must neither can qualify this name other than by perfection. For if you make any negative or imperfect affirmation, you will lie, and the punishment will be the manifestation within you of what you dared to declare. By uttering the 4 words of the second clause, you will have expressed the wish that your brothers, your neighbor, and yourself keep the name of God hallowed as it is. When repeating the prayer, meditate on the truth of this clause, and may the Father hear you, brother. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I have told you, the intention of the Father, the will of the Father for his children is perfect. His wisdom, his love, his omnipotence have so ordained it, but his infinite justice has also decreed that nothing or no one interferes between his children and their desire. Such a wise father knows that a child grows without being forced, is taught without being constrained, and must experience falls and blows to learn to walk. In the kingdom of heaven, the child is sovereign. No one restricts him, everyone respects his freedom and desire, but teaches him with immense love. The child quickly learns that the elders do not speak to disturb him, but always to warn him of something that could spare him an unpleasant consequence. This is the condition of the kingdom. That's why when we say, "Thy kingdom come," when we ask the Father to make our relationships with our brothers, teachers, guides, neighbors, etc., pleasant, it is love that governs the kingdom, dictates behavior, and provides tireless understanding. The Father's will is for teachers to instruct us through radiance, direct inspiration to the heart, so that we progress without delay or hindrance. The Father's will, mentioned in the first clause, is what reigns in the heavens we wish to see here on earth, and it is what we ask for again in the third clause. Give us this day our daily bread. The word bread symbolizes everything we might need at this moment. It is known that bread stays fresh for only a day. Tomorrow it will be hard and tasteless. That's why the phrase says daily. We need this today. The Father has arranged that everything we will need as we feel the need will be fulfilled for us. Everything is already arranged for us. This clause says it, our bread and daily. At the same time, we acknowledge that it is ours, not only yours or mine, but everyone's. We ask that it be given to all and each what they will need in due time. Don't panic, thinking something will be delayed, that things won't suffice for you, that you fear they will end too soon, etc. Just face this apparent need with the phrase that begins this clause, or gently, claim what is rightfully yours. Father, you have already arranged for me to have this. I desire it in harmony for all, under grace and in perfect ways, that it be manifested. Thank you, Father, for you have already heard me, and you always hear me. The proof that everything has been granted to us before asking for it is as follows. Surely today you have everything covered, don't you? All the money you need, you have it for today, right? Because tomorrow will be another day, next year will be its time, next week or next month. That will be the time. Don't worry, because the Father said, before they call, I will have heard, and before they finish speaking, I will have answered. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. All the mistakes we make are always a misuse of divine energy that is not distributed in tons every minute with every heartbeat. So we have great debts to the Father because we have wasted his energy sometimes, squandering tons of energy in fits of anger and violence. If we ask the Father for forgiveness immediately, the damage isn't so great. The punishment doesn't materialize first because the recognized sin is a forgiven sin, and second because the Father has always forgiven us. It's up to us to forgive ourselves, and we do it by acknowledging that we have failed. Now the key point of the clause is we forgive our debtors as you behave toward your neighbor. So you can expect the Father to behave toward you, but it's not directly the Father who pays you back, but his laws and principles. The Father is always mercy and forgiveness. It's the laws that give everyone what they deserve. Jesus composed the prayer so masterfully that if we ask for forgiveness, if we haven't forgiven our brother before our request is stuck in our throat, we cannot move forward, and we must settle things immediately. If you are one of those who see that everything blocks you, that everything you undertake is difficultly achieved with enormous struggles, you cannot say it's because you're unlucky or that you really have bad luck. It's a lie. What happens is that you are harsh with your brother. You haven't forgiven someone, or you continuously blame others for your failures. First, forgive everyone. Make it a duty to say this phrase before laying your head on the pillow at night. I forgive all those who need my forgiveness, to every man, woman, or child. I forgive myself, and I ask forgiveness from the Father. And let your word be sincere, absolute, and extensive, because if you have the slightest resentment towards someone or something, that will be a wall between you and the Father, a wall between you and manifestations of peace and prosperity. Never mention the act of forgiveness you have accomplished, because it would acknowledge that your forgiveness has no great value. Every time it comes to your mind, always say that I have already forgiven it. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. The Father does not send us temptations. In truth, this phrase is even higher as you reach a higher, more sensitive level, and you expect powerful and subtle temptations against which you must be on guard. The worst of all is spiritual pride. It builds a steel wall between the individual and his God. Against this, you must often affirm the famous phrase of Master Jesus, I am meek and humble of heart, which indicates that it is the heart's request that is granted. If you ask, Do not let me waste opportunities to do good. You will see how you are protected against waste, because if you ask not to fall into these subtle temptations, you will be taken care of and protected, because the Bible clearly says, "Or which one of you, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone?" Matthew 7-9-11. They say the worst sins are those of which we are not aware. Ask the Father to show you your hidden faults. Ask the Father not to let you be a victim of things like working for your own glory or exercising personal preferences in your help and service to humanity. Ask and you shall receive, knock, and it shall be opened unto you, seek and ye shall find. Deliver us from all evil. This doesn't need an explanation, but mainly ask to understand how unreal the so-called evil is, because it doesn't exist, because the appearance of all evil is simply a state where the negative pole predominates, missing only the positive pole to become evident good. Nothing can exist without having both poles. What only expresses its negative pole balances itself and seems to disappear as soon as it is polarized with the positive, because thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, a wise and powerful affirmation with it. You are obligated to recognize the Father as the only presence and power. You are obligated to dissolve spiritual pride, the last of the flaws to overcome. The example of the terrible punishment resulting from this flaw is the fall of the most glorious of angels, Lucifer, who became Lucifer by the sin of pride. This must be an allegory because no master names such a character, but in any case, the final affirmation of the Our Father's mission is to free us from the last of the dangers, as long as it is said with fervent intention and sincere devotion, the 7 aspects of God. How does science differ from religion? The former represents divine wisdom, while the latter represents divine love. What we call God or the Creator is one and indivisible. All creation is a view from its countless prisms, or its infinite manifestations. Science and religion are merely the same thing seen under 2 different characters, as we will see next. They form a circle in which one transforms into the other, and the latter becomes the former again. First, let's examine the 7 main aspects of God. God is life, truth, love, intelligence, unity, spirit, principle. In my first book, Metaphysics Made Easy for Everyone, I already mentioned these 7 aspects. In this book, we call soul the aspect of unity, but it's just a matter of preference. Life is God. God is everywhere. Life is everywhere. Life is God, its first aspect. Life is indestructible. Thus, death does not exist. There is only the transformation of one form into another. It is childish to think that God is a human being with human characteristics. The human form that we present, we inhabitants of this planet, is only suitable for this planet. Life manifests itself appropriately in its environment, like in water where life exists in the form of a fish, to move and glide smoothly in the aquatic element that surrounds it entirely. In water, lungs are not necessary, just as on other planets where there is no air. The inhabitants have a constitution different from Earth humans. It is absurd to think that due to the unbearable heat on Venus, for a terrestrial life form, there is no life there. Life manifests everywhere. In a pot of soil, life springs up in the form of a little plant, as that is the form life adopts in that environment and those conditions. God never changes, for he is principle, and a principle cannot change. Life cannot therefore become death. It would be a contradiction. Life cannot be death, nor death life. Thus, what we call death is not the truth, for anything claiming to contradict a principle is a lie. Death is not permanent, whereas life is. Death is a transition from one state to another, from a state of life to another state of life. This means that the individual completes one stage of their evolution and progresses to another. Evolution is continuous. It never stops. In thousands of years, you will be alive somewhere, evolving and acquiring knowledge and powers infinitely superior to what you have today. You must quickly understand what I have just said, because later you will discover truths that will surprise you, but which you should not face with incredulity. Those who cannot comprehend today that other planets are inhabited by life forms adapted to the specific chemical conditions of the planet are like frogs in their pond, denying the existence of the tree peaks because they cannot see them. Life is invisible. What we see are its effects. God is invisible, yet we see him everywhere through his manifestations. Therefore, you must keep your mind open to recognize the possibility in everything, no matter how strange it may seem. Life has three undeniable conditions: health, joy, and enthusiasm. These three elements equate to happiness. Every day, thank the Father for your life, for he manifests through you in his aspect of life. Your heart beats, therefore you have God, life within you. The heartbeat is the first proof of life. This is a meditation. Meditate on life. The more you think about it, analyze it, the more you will manifest it, the more joyful, healthier, and happier you will feel. Sadness is the loss of the sense of God within us. When we know that God is our life, that he cannot die, that he is constant joy, health, and happiness, we cannot entertain sadness. The Bible says that the sons of God cry out with joy, and it also says that the joy of the Lord is my strength. When you feel sad, start thanking God for the truth that is life, joy, health, and happiness, and in a few moments, you will feel different. Life is movement. Children overflow with life and manifest it through their activity. When a person is ill, heal them by thinking that they are life. Life is health. It is God and cannot be sick. Their heart beats, God manifests within them. Mentally challenge all of this. You cannot manifest a lie. They will heal. Against indifference, lack of ambition, apathy, negligence, conformity, stagnation, delay, paralysis, poliomyelitis, speak to them mentally and tell them they are lies, that they have no power, for the only presence and power is God, and God is life, enthusiasm, health, energy, and happiness. Let's move on to the second aspect. Truth. No matter how they are arranged, all aspects are one. Truth is an imperious, eternal, and constant presence. No matter the lie represented or told, truth is there, alive, present. Invoke it, and it will manifest. It is a living entity because it is an aspect of God. It is God himself acting. Someone said, amidst the loudest noise where one shouts to deny God, he is silent. He does not impose himself but invokes his presence, and you will see his manifestation. This is because he is the truth, absolute truth, where presence is relative truth. Acknowledge that absolute truth is present, and you will see it with your own eyes. When someone tries to convince you of something you do not fully accept, mentally declare that absolute truth is within it, and you will see something happen to highlight it. Jesus said, "Know the truth and it shall set you free." Notice how he treats it as a person, as an entity. Truth is the great healer, associated with the aspect of life. When you need information, suspect deception, sign a document. Express an opinion without judgment or suspect deceit. Affirm that truth is present in the situation, for truth is God and is everywhere. You will see the truth manifest, and everything will quieten in its presence. One lie begets another, then another, and it also forces speaking and protesting. Conversely, one truth overturns all that has been falsely asserted, and everything remains silent. What happens when someone confronts you, accusing you of something you've done, and you deny it out of fear? The situation becomes impossible. Numerous accusers emerge, and you find yourself involved in endless turmoil. Instead, accept the accusation and say, "It's true, I did it." You will see the accusation disappear, accompanied by the anger of the attacker. You will see them ashamed of their own violence, praising you and becoming your soul's friend. Never deny something out of pride, fear of appearing bad, or fear of consequences. Truth is God, and when you confess it, knowing that you invoke it, you will see the divine spirit act among men. Truth is always on your side. Get used to not fearing it. Truth cannot force you to lie, as in cases where telling the truth would lead to a problem. I mean when the truth involves exposing something shameful about someone else. Invoke it and tell it as if you were calling God himself. "Save me. I don't want to harm anyone. You cannot force me to lie or cause me trouble out of loyalty to you." Recognizing God in truth will save you hours of work and fatigue when seeking information or something lost, a place, a house, a person, etc. The necessary information will reach you in some way. Something will happen to compensate. You've heard a lot that God is love. Love is also invisible. All aspects of God are invisible but absolutely real. We see the effects and cannot deny them. So when someone tells you, "I am an atheist, I do not believe in God," you will say to them, "Lie. For that person loves something, their mother, child, dog. One always loves something, even if it's simply their own comfort. There's a preference, a distinction between good and evil, a recognition of good. So one believes in good, believes in God, even if one is unaware, for God is good. God is what is good. Jesus said, 'Do not call me good, there is only one who is good, and that is God.' God is everywhere. Good is in everything. The key figure of our universe is 7. It consists of 3 negative units and 4 positive units. It's the same to say 4 white and 3 black, 4 good and 3 bad, 4 units of light and 3 of darkness. The fact is that good is always greater than evil. The positive is greater than the negative. The higher self is greater than the lower self. The mightiest angel is greater than the demon. By blessing the good contained within the 7 units, the good increases, for what you bless expands. It's a power we all possess, even the most ignorant. By blessing the good, the content called evil disappears. What you bless immediately shows its positive aspect. You have recognized the truth, you have praised God, and this liberates you from evil. Even if it bothers you, try it. Do not believe it without testing it. It's very easy to verify. Just say, "I bless the good in this situation or condition, and I want to see it." You will be astonished by the result. Loving good is loving God. It is love. If you want to prevent someone from harming you, say mentally, "I surround you with my circle of love." You will see them change instantly. Surround your home with your circle of love, and no one will ever be able to steal from you or damage your property. To those tormented because their partner is unfaithful or simply because they have fallen in love with someone else, tell them while thinking of their rival, "I surround you with my circle of love," and persist until you see the wonderful change occur. It's not necessary to feel this love. Having the will to express it is already love. As below, so above. By studying the monad, one reaches the angel, says Hermes. We cannot judge or exactly appreciate how a condition of life is superior to the one we live. A poor person thinks of a rich one and says to themselves how pleasant it must be to have everything, but they do not experience it and cannot fully appreciate it until they become rich. Although they can anticipate pleasure based on what they feel when they achieve satisfactions according to their economic level, the same thing happens between planes or dimensions. The ant lives in the first dimension. Its mind does not go beyond instinct. It cannot even calculate a human's life. I wanted to explain the term consciousness that we use so much in metaphysics when we mention spiritual consciousness and material consciousness, as well as the right of conscience, etc. It is the state of advancement or delay. It is being aware of something by fully knowing it, by experiencing it oneself, physically or mentally. If the ant could meditate on humans, and if it could be taught to apply the principle of correspondence, it would need to be told approximately that a human is a being like it, who builds its house like it, who seeks food like it, who has its government like it, and its rules to live well, just like it. But it could not understand this because none of this has entered its plan of consciousness. At each level, there are advancements that are almost ready to move on to the next level of consciousness, and they already glimpse or sense the higher conditions. Among animals, there are dogs, horses, etc., which are said to be on the verge of speaking. Among humans, there was a Jesus, for example, who accepts to return to a lower level to teach progress. We already live between the planes, learning the conditions of the mental plane in which we graduate. It is said of us that we develop spiritual consciousness, meaning that we become aware of things unsuspected by the vast majority living in material consciousness. That is why the vast majority rejects the idea that flying saucers could be spaceships piloted by superhumans who come to study us, just as we would stop to study a little bird in its nest, brooding its eggs. They don't mean us harm, they are just curious, as above, so below. The principle of vibration, it is the third Hermetic principle. Its motto is as follows: Everything is in motion. Everything vibrates. Let's start by thinking of an airplane propeller. When it is stationary, we see two wooden blades attached to an axis. Suddenly they start moving, they accelerate, and after a while we don't see anything anymore. They become transparent. This is what happens with a high frequency. That's why we don't see disembodied spirits. They live among us, but in a vibratory frequency different from our flesh and bone bodies. On the other hand, the apparent immobility of a rock, which also moves in its own vibrational frequency, is due to the fact that its vibrational frequency is excessively slow. Positive thinking vibrates at an extremely high frequency. Its colors are vivid, clear, and bright. Negative thinking vibrates slowly, and its colors are dull. The more negative the thoughts, the darker they are, and the lower the tone of their sound. Positive thinking, just like the positively polarized mind, cannot be dominated by a low vibration unless there is a negative notion or idea retained somewhere within the individual, or unless they allow their thinking to become negative. Jesus said, "The God of this world comes to me and finds nothing in me to seize." The God of this world. About health and life. Life is life, it cannot become death. One can think of death and produce it, but by thinking of life, one transmutes death into life. Life is indestructible. It is meant to manifest if human minds do not block its passage with their false beliefs. Even if they are false, no one encroaches on the free will that allows human minds to believe what they want against what you choose. No one else but yourself can do it. If you prefer to place yourself at the negative pole, you will have everything that belongs to it. If you prefer the positive pole, you will have everything that belongs to it. The smile belongs to the positive pole, the frown to the negative. If you want to change poles in the midst of a negative manifestation, smile, declare the manifestation loudly, bless it, and add, "and I want to see it." That's all. You will see black transmuting into white, sadness into joy, evil into good. Try it. Polarize all the situations that come to you, all the environments you enter, all the beings that speak with you, and you will hear them exclaim, "But how good I feel." Polarize your friends, your children, your employees, your students, and thus you will be what Jesus called the salt of the earth. What is not desirable is transformed by changing its polarity. If you do not know how to do it quickly yourself, do it gradually from degree to degree, from condition to condition, from pole to pole, from vibration to vibration. You must first acquire the art of changing your own polarity in order to later change that of others. Just as you can transform the polarity of others by bringing goodness with you, likewise you can also take the negative wherever you go. These are the so-called baboons. They are always polarized at the negative pole and take it everywhere. To master the art of polarizing, it must be practiced like everything one wishes to master. The principle of polarity is the truth. The results depend on the student's practice. Law of rhythm. Everything flows and refluxes. Everything has its periods of advancement and retreat. Everything rises and falls. Everything moves like a pendulum. The measure of its movement to the right is the same as that of its movement to the left. Rhythm is compensation. This principle contains the truth that everything manifests in a specific back-and-forth movement, an average oscillation, an ebb and flow, a movement similar to that of a pendulum, from one pole to the other, in accordance with the principle of polarity with which rhythm is closely linked. Rhythm manifests between the two poles of all this, which does not mean that the rhythmic oscillation reaches the extremes of each pole, as this rarely happens. It is very difficult to establish the extreme polar opposites in most cases, but the oscillation occurs first towards one pole, then towards the other. There is always an oscillation, an advance and a retreat, a rise and a fall manifesting in all things and phenomena of the universe. This law governs everything: suns, worlds, spirits, energy, mind, matter, animals, plants, etc. We see it in the history of life, in all things, in the rise and fall of nations. That is, on all planes, this principle is functional. In the spiritual plane, for example, there is always an emanation followed by an absorption. We emanate from God, are born, descend into material consciousness, then die, absorbed into spiritual consciousness. This is our great rhythm, an upward rhythmic evolution in our birth and death, It is the breathing and inspiration of Brahma. As the Brahmins say, universes are created, positive acts emit vibrations of color. This color attracts vibrations of the same color, and they come back to you, amplifying the good you have done. Wonderful things, miracles happen to you. You say, "What a coincidence, look at what happened this morning, it's amazing." There are no coincidences because there is no law of coincidence. There are only exact laws called principles, for they are immutable. The principle of polarity sets what you do, and you say in one of the two poles, positive or negative. That is, what you think, say, or do is positive or negative. There is no third pole. If you think or speak ill of someone, it is negative. You have sown in a negative pole, this produces a grey or black tint depending on the amount of malice it contains. Energies of the same color gather their way and return to you increased in strength. You will encounter a shock, an accident, it will always be something unpleasant. So that's the explanation of what happens to you. If you criticize, you will be hurt, or something in you will be damaged. If you are unfair, harsh, injustice will come back to you. Likewise, this hardness, these causes that you sow, must bear fruit in effects before you are released. If you always sow discord, you must reap it. If you sow kindness, love, and help, you must reap kindness, love, and help. What you sow, whether constructive or destructive, you will see it come true. How can people still believe they can cruelly, slanderously, moodily, violently, and pettily behave with impunity and hope to have health, love, fortune, happiness? In short, all the good things in life, if they only sow bad things. The whole world spends its time sending out hatred, selfishness, disputes, quarrels, and in return reaps confusion, chaos, wars, all sorts of problems. One cannot always immediately reap what one has sown. Planet Earth has an enormous accumulated debt from the whole world, and it discharges, where it can, through storms, cyclones, earthquakes, marine catastrophes, landslides, floods, volcanic eruptions, etc. Often the people we have somehow hurt die before we could settle our account with them, and there must be an opportunity to do so in the future, because God is infinitely merciful and does not leave one of his children in eternal punishment without giving them the chance to settle their debts. That's why God instituted reincarnation, to give a chance to pay off debts, but also to reap the material and carnal benefits that we have earned and cannot obtain in an invisible and immaterial plan. It would not be fair for us to be deprived of the reward for our efforts and good deeds. Of course, this applies to things that are not just material. One cannot stay there forever if there are things pending here, and it is necessary to remember that the leitmotif of these studies is to keep and maintain an open mind. You listen, meditate, and decide to believe what seems right, logical, reasonable, and sensible to you. What you cannot accept, leave it aside for later. Some things are so new to you that it will be difficult for you to accept them immediately. That's why I recommend considering them with an open mind, without immediately closing the door. I warn you now that the brain cells awaken gradually. If a new idea comes, there are dormant cells that have not yet vibrated, and this new idea wakes them up. When you have just woken up, you don't yet know very well what you are being told, but after a while, after showering or having breakfast, you can then absorb what is said as true. So remember the law of correspondence, as above, so below. It's the same for newly awakened cells. The law is the same for everything. You begin to see that something as strange and mysterious called reincarnation has a reason based on harmony and divine mercy. And it's not something weird and crazy. Keep an open mind because everything has an explanation. Reincarnation is a truth, and it is the only logical explanation for the apparent injustice you see when splendid and constructive people go through difficult situations, while others called bad seem to enjoy all the good things in life. You can be sure that there is no mistake or injustice. Do you believe in God? Do you believe that He is good or just? Then how can you believe it is unfair? Everyone faces effects of past causes they have caused somewhere in the past, for which they have no memory. If these people with karmic debts wish deep down to serve individuals, to balance and erase bad feelings, listen carefully. They free themselves from this debt. But if they fail to cultivate these feelings and good wishes, life will bring them together again, as many times as necessary, until it is accomplished, and each time in a closer association. Sometimes they may even be born together as mother and child, because the law of love works like this. It seeks to dissolve enmity with love. When two people feel an attraction of love and harmony, it is certain that they have been in contact and in harmonious association in past lives, and they can extend that quality if necessary in the world. When you feel a sense of resistance towards someone, it's because the sensations remember a discordant or unpleasant association. It's very comforting to know that God's forgiveness for the abuse of His energy is always at hand for those who truly wish it. This eternal fire and eternal punishment, invented by religions of the past to control the world through fear, superstition, and blind obedience, is not true. Whatever the causes, sin, imperfection, purity, error that have been committed, there is a conscious way to transmute these errors. You know what it means. Transmute, dissolve, completely erase without cost. When humans realize that they are themselves responsible for all their evils and calamities, for all the limitations in their world, if they truly sincerely desire to repair things, that desire is what matters, and it is necessary to know that any form of assistance is offered to them until that moment arrives. When the student realizes that what he creates mentally is so important, that it governs his destiny and even that of others, when he becomes aware that all his decrees manifest and that no one, absolutely no one other than himself, can be blamed for what happens to him, he panics and does as always, tries to blame someone to inflict punishment. He releases the body to be taken care of by matter and assigns it all the responsibility, then proceeds to punish it in the most ruthless manner. How could they not believe it? With all the old flagellations and tortures suffered by the saints and martyrs, because these practices are archived in the subconscious from the remote times of Christianity. Of course, no one takes a whip in hand nowadays, but they torture themselves mentally, monitor themselves like police officers, saying to themselves, "Here you go. You failed again. You did not succeed. You will suffer again from the same consequences." And of course, since it is a decree, the same consequences happen again. They have given unlimited power to a mental form of guilt, specially designed to torment them at every misstep, thus preventing them from moving forward. Every time you catch yourself scolding, punishing, or scolding yourself, remember that simply acknowledging that you have sinned, to use the Catholic phrase you are used to, means that you are already aware of good and evil. It is just a matter of time, and not much time, before your subconscious blocks you to prevent you from committing the same sin again. This is the principle of confession. A confessed sin is half forgiven, because the Catholic confession had only one purpose: to make us aware of our transgressions. The priest's forgiveness is nominal. The one who truly forgives is the inner Christ, the one who guides and teaches us. All you have to do is mentally tell yourself, "My higher self, which is the perfect Christ in me, is responsible for guiding me without torture until my ascension." Once you have meditated and understood this and no longer voluntarily commit sin, the first gates of heaven will open for you. All this proves that you have put all your goodwill, and the greatest teacher of all time, Jesus, said, "Peace on earth to men of good will." The principle of generation, the leitmotif of this principle, is as follows. Everything has its masculine and feminine principle. Like all the previous ones, this principle is always in action. Nothing can exist without the principle of generation, that is, without its father and mother. Absolutely everything has a father and mother, or its feminine basis and its masculine basis. It is not, as commonly believed, that the basis is sex. This word, sex, applies only to the physical differences between male and female in a very small sector of the physical plane. Think about it and remember, sex is the external difference between male and female in the grand physical plane. In other words, sex is not the principle of generation. It is simply the presence of the masculine and the feminine in all creation. Understand well that in this sector of the physical plane, the principle is recognized, manifested, or made visible by the difference in sexes. In higher planes, the principle takes higher forms, but each being contains within itself the two elements of this principle. The world has gone through thousands of conjectures on truth that later become theories, teachings, sects, organizations, cults, religions. All that you hear about sects practicing harmful teachings, it is nothing but a prostitution of the great natural principle of generation. All of this is outdated and fallen into disuse. Truth is always simple and natural for the pure. All things are pure for the corrupt, and everything is corrupted. The word gender means to create, conceive, produce, while the word sex is limited to organic life. Science has not yet accepted this principle as a universal thing, and will not be able to because science is situated in the field. One who is mounted on a horse does not see its legs that make it move until he dismounts and objectifies it. Thus he cannot see those legs. Similarly, science and religion do not know that one represents the father and the other represents the mother. Science is proof of the existence of the father, that is, intelligence. Religion is proof of the existence of the mother, that is, love. God is love and intelligence, mother and father, negative and positive. It is absurd and ridiculous that science and religion continue as enemies, the father against the mother and vice versa. Science ridicules religion and religion censors, criticizes and blames science. In this golden era, the era of Saint-Germain, they are beginning to discover each other without exactly realizing it yet. Metaphysics gathers and explains this truth. Our great master Emmett Fox called this teaching scientific prayer. It is very important to make a clarification. Religion is one thing, the church is another, and most humans do not know the difference, confusing one with the other. Naming sometimes religion and sometimes the church as if the two terms were identical. Religion is the set of truths based on universal love, charity, filial and fraternal feelings, the practice that encompasses love one another, and in the love of God above all and of neighbor as oneself. The word religion means something that is doubly linked, that is, connected, united by cohesion. And that is enough. It does not need more because this love achieves that cohesion. As we have already said, the law of attraction, adhesion, and cohesion is the name given by intelligence, science, the Father, to love. Love is the term that the heart, the mother, attributes to the law that attracts, unites, and adheres with such power that nothing can separate. Everything that follows from it, enthusiasm, devotion, charity, etc., are typical characteristics of the mother. The role of the mother in a family is to link and interlace all her children through her love, care, teachings, devotion. The attraction she exerts on the entire family, this vibration that continues even after her death to exert her invisible influence, reminds everyone that they are brothers, united by the same father and connected by the same mother. That is what religion is. Figure represents your higher self, which is the God of your little solar system. It is a spark of divinity, the agent, the representative, or the plenipotentiary ambassador of God before you. The circle is a rainbow of 7 colors, a complete rainbow that you rarely see. The rainbow sky shows only one segment, a piece of the grand circle. What I'm showing you is your truth. It's the aura of your higher self, also called the causal body. This is how you are because you are a microcosm, a tiny solar system reproducing the same universal design. This complete rainbow is your glory. It's what Master Jesus called treasures in heaven. For in each color band, all constructive acts that you do and have done in your past incarnations are deposited. Everything that is noble, good, in line with the Father's will and your innate truth, that you will never lose. In metaphysics, we call it your conscience's right. It cannot be stolen or lost simply because you possess this causal body. You have the right to declare, I am perfect. You will notice that you are not talking about your physical body, nor considering yourself a presumptuous little god. You speak of your truth, and every time you think and practice it, it gets closer to your two systems, your higher self and your lower self. Your higher self and your lower self are connected by a cord of light and golden-colored fluids, starting from the higher self, entering your head and anchoring in your heart in a triple flame of blue, golden, and pink color. Man is unaware of this, and thus His triple flame forms a hermetic cell until it is taught to him or someone, voluntarily awakens it through a treatment in which he directly calls Christ into the heart. This small flame that pierces the capsule and starts burning and influencing the individual is what we call in metaphysics the inner Christ. These are two living entities, although they are separate, but they form, along with earthly consciousness, a single being. You can and must address these two entities, speak to them, love them, invoke their divine protection because they are perfect. You already know this. And together, they form this self that you constantly name, and of which you must speak in the highest and most beautiful terms. As you see, this is the eternal Trinity. You are never alone. This Christ in Master Jesus said, "My child, I am always with you." The more you think, meditate, and invoke it, the closer you will feel. Give it all your love, and always remember that when you make very high affirmations, you tell the truth because you speak of your truth, of your triple flame, the causal body. The colors in the circle or the causal body are in the following order. First the blue near the head, followed by golden yellow, then outward pink, then the white band, next green, followed by ruby gold. For reasons not given to us, it is not called orange, and finally, the violet band at the front. 7 rays emanate from you, 1 for each color, where your virtues and theirs emanate where needed. This is the macrocosm. We are each a microcosm. The virtues of each color are as follows. Blue represents God's will in the macrocosm. Will is a virtue in you, power, faith, goodness, happiness, balance, and peace. Golden yellow, the second person of the Trinity, represents intelligence, wisdom, evolve and rise in rank, studying and working, occupying positions in the government of worlds, systems, and galaxies. Remember that what you cannot accept, let it pass, and continue moving forward. Each ray is directed by an ascended master, almost all from the human species, an archangel, a hierarch of angelic evolution, an Elohim, a hierarch of elemental evolution, and many other light entities and legions of servants, called angels on earth, who carry out the director's orders. The Elohim were the ones who created planet Earth. You may have noticed that some Bibles begin the Genesis narrative with the phrase, "In the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth," while other editions say, "In the beginning, the Elohim created the heavens and the earth," and the Catholic Bible says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." What Moses clearly established was, "In the beginning, the Elohim created the heavens and the earth," and this is in line with the teaching received for the new era. Because the Elohim are gods of the elemental kingdom, and they are the builders of all forms, the blue ray, the first ray, represents God's will and is directed by the ascended master El Moria. The master is from the planet Mercury, but has been reincarnated several times among us. Among his earthly incarnations were King Arthur of the Round Table, Sir Thomas More, a great statesman and humanist of the 16th and 17th centuries, canonized by the Church as Saint Thomas More. The Irishman. Thomas More, an 18th century poet and writer, was the Hindu king who built the Taj Mahal in memory of his wife. He retains the appearance and clothing of a Hindu and lives in India, where he receives disciples who ask to be taken there while their physical bodies sleep. The temple is on the etheric plane. The archangel of the blue ray is Michael, called Archangel Saint Michael by Catholics. Beloved Michael is responsible for those who pass away, with his symbolic sword and his legions of blue angels. He alone has permission to plunge into darkness to release souls imprisoned by their mistakes and who have no one to pray for them. An invocation to Archangel Michael immediately sends you to surround anyone who is dying with his blue light, pulling with your own hands. The bonds that tie others to their mistakes because it will be new and strange for you to learn. That misused energy forms cords and bonds as strong as steel that attach the guilty, preventing them from freeing themselves, and that the symbolic sword of Archangel Michael is the weapon with which he cuts and frees those attached. The beloved Archangel has voluntarily dedicated himself to this mission as long as there are disembodied earthlings in need. The Elohim of the blue ray is Hercules, and his complement is Amazon. You will know that we all have our complement, the other half of the original cell that was divided to evolve each on its side. Some cells remain united, but those that divide can be found in successive lives, marrying each other, and these are the perfect marriages on earth. Then, in successive incarnations, they retain that memory and seek to find each other in other loves, in other marriages, until at the end of all incarnations, they always find each other for eternity, in that union that the Bible says, "What God has joined, together let no one separate." And that religion confused by believing that it refers to ordinary marriage on earth, when it simply pertains to something transitory, practical, or one's own karma. The Elohim, as we have said, are hierarchs of elemental evolution. One becomes an Elohim as one becomes a master, after evolving and ascending, equating to the stature of a god compared to us, just as man is a god in the consideration of an ant. The Elohim have others under their command. These beings can build a mountain or a vast lake in 10 minutes, or destroy them if necessary. Every great mountain, community, lake, sea, 1,000-year-old tree, etc., has a diva that protects them. They are magnificent in celestial protocol. There is a saying, "Invocation compels response," and it's enough to call upon any of the light entities, masters, angels, archangels, Elohim, for them to respond immediately. So it is not true that one must shout and vociferate to God and offer 1,000 novenas and sacrifices. The great and powerful Elohim Hercules responds instantly, surrounds you with his strength, gives you his strength if you are weak, and gives strength to anyone you want. Many have seen the splendid athlete figure of Elohim Hercules accompanying them when invoked. Invoking a being of the blue flame brings peace, power, happiness, balance, goodness, strength, and will. The golden yellow ray, the second ray, represents intelligence or the second person of the Holy Trinity. It is the ray of wisdom, illumination, and understanding. As you will see further in the table of the 7 rays and their equivalences, this ray has an influence on students, teachers, and all those who desire light, information, intellectual assistance, wisdom, and peace. Until recently, its director was the Ascended Master Kuthumi, but he was appointed the world teacher alongside the Ascended Master Jesus, and the position was entrusted to the Ascended Master Lanto. If your ability to project your astral body is not developed, and if you are not clairvoyant, ask the Master to transport you after your physical body falls asleep to the temple of your choice. For example, on Sunday to the temple of Master Moria in Darjeeling, on Monday to the temple of Master Lanto in the Rocky Mountains in the United States, on Tuesday to the temple located on the Chateau of Freedom in Marseille. On Wednesday, ask the Ascended Master Madame Robuena. On Thursday, ask the beloved Serapis Bey to transport you to the Temple of Luxor in Egypt. On Friday, ask Master Hilarion to take you to his temple in Crete. On Saturday, ask the Ascended Master Saint-Germain to transport you to the Violet Temple on the island of Cuba. In these temples, instructions are received on the application of each of their particular flames. Until recently, the director of the Golden Yellow Ray was the Master Kuthumi, who now holds the position of world teacher alongside Master Jesus. Among his past incarnations, Master Kuthumi was Pythagoras, the Mage King Melchior, St. Francis of Assisi, and St. Martin de Porres. He founded the Theosophical School with Madame Elena Patrofnowski as the receiving medium in collaboration with Master Moria. Master Kuthumi resides in Singash, in the Himalayas, a few steps away from Master Moria. The Archangel of the Golden Ray is Jophiel, and the Elohim is Cassiopeia. For illumination, for yourself or for others, envelop yourself or them in the golden cloak of wisdom and visualize yourself surrounded by bright and gentle yellow light. Visualize this before sleeping to bring peace and joy. The pink ray, channel of the Holy Spirit, is the ray of divine love and is directed by the Ascended Master Madame Orbuena and her complement, Victor. Previously, the beloved and Ascended Master Paolo Veronese held this leadership. Today, the Divine Paolo represents the Holy Spirit for the earth. At the Chateau of Freedom in Marseille, France, you can see paintings by Paolo Veronese, but on the counterpart of the castle located on the etheric plane, you can attend meetings, speak and learn from entities of the pink ray and absorb the emanations of divine love that these wonderful entities of the pink ray emit in your ethereal body. Little is known about the Ascended Master, Madame Rowena. She may be somewhat known through the pages of Sir Walter Scott's historical novel called Ivanhoe, where she was known as the most beautiful woman in this world of ancient knights. Today, she is the director of the pink ray, as one might say the goddess of beauty in this ray of love. Her complement, the beloved victor, is invoked to achieve victory in any endeavor. The archangel of the pink ray is named Shamuel, and its complement is charity. Invoke Shamuel when you need money. Bless what you have. Surround it with pink light. Bless what you pay and what you receive. Bless your wallet, your purse. Bless the telephone, the television, the radio, anything you want that is damaged and mechanical, and surround them with angels of the pink flame and mechanical angels. You will see miracles. The Elohim of the pink flame is Orion. The constellation of Orion is always visible in the Caracas sky. Orion's complement is Angelica. The pink flame is magnetic. When you need to attract something or someone, mentally visualize the space separating the object or person, surround it with pink light, and they will be mutually attracted to good and pure love. The white ray, which separates the series of primary colors from that of secondary colors, symbolizes purity and ascension. Its director is the Ascended Master Serapis Bey, whose Temple of the White Flame is located in Luxor, Egypt. The white flame, called Ascension, acts to purify every being at the moment of their ascension out of the earth's ray and forever. She assists everything that needs to be uplifted, everything that is depressed, whether it is an economic situation, weakened morale, a downtrodden people, and more. Master Serapis Bey acted as the leader of the Seraphim when they first came to earth to guard the first human beings. He brought light to Egypt and saved the white flame by transporting it from Atlantis to Egypt, preserving and reigniting it with his own body and breath in a small boat with others. The archangel of the white flame is Gabriel, the one who announced to Mary. The Elohim of the white ray is called the beloved clarity, the ultimate purifier of all that needs to be cleansed. It is invoked to extend life and light to each electron and to dispel darkness. The angels of the white flame are called the Brotherhood of Luxor. In the previous table, you will see other specialties of the white ray. The green ray is that of truth, concentration, consecration, and healing. The director is the Ascended Master Hilarion, who was St. Paul in his Christian incarnation. The archangel is Raphael, the physician of heaven. The Elohim is Cyclopeia, representing the vigilant eye of God that sees all. Nowadays, it is called Vision, the Elohim of music. Angels of the green ray are invoked for any illness. Cover anything presenting a false face with the mantle of truth. For any suspicion of falsehood or anything hidden that you want to reveal, invoke Celestial Mary, the Mother of God, acting in the green ray to protect women in childbirth and all unborn children. Place any future mother in her hands as well as the child and entrust them to the entities of the violet flame for them to be born without karma. The ruby ray, the sixth ray, is also called gold ruby because there is no orange color on the spiritual plane. There is no fruit that we know by the name of orange. This was the ray in which Jesus of Nazareth acted, which is why the Catholic Church dresses its cardinals in this color and adorns its bishops in red. The director is the Ascended Master Nada. She is also the patron of understanding. The archangel of the sixth ray is Jophiel, and the Elohim is Tranquility or Tranquilino. It is the ray of peace and providence. Invoke them when you are nervous or when something needs pacification and before sleeping. Likewise, for provision. The violet ray is the seventh ray and corresponds to karma, transmutation, forgiveness, and mercy. The director is the Ascended Master Saint-Germain, who was, among others, Saint Joseph, Saint Alban, a British martyr, the monk-physician Roger Bacon in the 13th century, Christian Rosenkreuz, founder of the Rosicrucian order in the 14th century, and many others. Master Saint-Germain is the avatar of the new era. It seems that he will not incarnate on earth like Master Jesus did, but will act mentally through advanced individuals who have been prepared for this great mission. The application of the violet ray was part of the necessary knowledge to ascend to the planes of light, and was known only to great initiates. Today, it is the gift that Master Saint-Germain brings to Earth to lift it from its current situation, as soon it will need to begin ascending toward the orbital position of the planet Venus. This will happen when Venus occupies the orbit where Mercury is, and the latter will be absorbed into the Sun's aura. This process is known as initiation, which each planet undergoes during inhalation. It is similar to breathing, from the inside to the outside, and vice versa. As above, so below, as below, so above. It's time to inhale toward the Sun, meaning the inhalation that the Sun performs to attract each of its planets. This change causes many disruptions in the life of each planet, because to change position and axis, the vibrational frequency of all life on the planet must be accelerated. Planets that have followed their evolution orderly do not feel disturbances, but the Earth, burdened by the weight of misused, stagnant, and negative energies that remained attached to the atmosphere, tilted on its axis. This cannot continue because it cannot rise to its new position if it does not respond to the magnetic attraction that will be applied to it at the moment of its transfer to its new field of action. The organizations directed by the great masters of the cosmos are straightening it. The effect of this change in position is already being felt, with climate changes, extreme heat, the sense of haste felt by humans, the sensation that when an elevator goes down and the door opens, those waiting cannot wait patiently for those inside to exit, just as those waiting at street corners cannot tolerate the change in traffic lights if the car in front of them delays by a second to start. All this is the influence of the change in vibrational frequency occurring on the planet, affecting all life. Beings who do not want or cannot, due to their state of delay, seek truth, purify themselves through these teachings, use the violet flame intensely to dissolve all karma of the centuries, will have to incarnate on delayed planets after the Earth's initiation to the orbit occupied by Venus. No child of God is condemned eternally. It is not possible for any particle of God to remain in eternal darkness, being its creator of light. But it is extremely unpleasant to degrade to lower positions after occupying comfortable ones. The elemental kingdom, I must add a paragraph to the revelation I am giving you about the invisible worlds, invisible for now. As the era advances, dormant cells will awaken in brains, and everyone will be able to see and hear what happens in these invisible worlds. Jesus saying about the last enemy to overcome, the one he said was death, refers to the fact that we will all be able to see our loved ones who are in the realms of the disincarnated, see them, hear them, converse with them, participate in their current life, and they in ours. Therefore, we will know that death does not exist. We can help them, and they will help us. This will be the complete unity of all worlds. Another thing we will learn is the truth about the elemental world. We will know it undoubtedly, because we will see and hear it. If what I am telling you is impossible to believe for the moment, let it pass, but do not cling to affirm that it cannot be true. Risking that by affirming it, a dormant cell awakens and you see what you deny. What a commitment! How do you swallow your own words then? The elemental kingdom, brother or sister, includes fairies, gnomes, sylphs, undines, salamanders. And beware, do not even think of denying them, because as long as you reject them, you will not be able to see them. Blessed is the one whose dormant cells awaken and who is not attached to their material and mortal beliefs, because they will see the kingdom of heaven. It is they who benefit from the Beatitudes number 1 and 6, equivalent to 7, which are as follows. 1. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. 6. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. The poor in spirit are not the same as the foolish. The translators of the Bible, not being poor in spirit or pure in heart, did not know what it meant, and the translation was wrong. The poor in spirit are those who are not burdened with intellectual riches that prevent them from believing in the innocence of the kingdom. Anyone who scoffs at the fairy tales we are about to recount is rich, and it will be very difficult for them to enter the kingdom of heaven, as difficult as it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. They will not enjoy seeing the little creatures at their daily tasks, or the undines distilling the water we drank to quench our thirst, bathe our bodies, and water our gardens. They will eat their fruits without love, cut roses without love. They will not see the fairies weaving their hammocks in the air and swinging in the breeze. They will not know the gnomes making leaves, blades of grass, flower petals, grains of soil. All this will remain Walt Disney movies. For the materialist whose heart is tainted, have you ever seen little lights like worms squirming in the air? These are the Father's little children, elementals to whom no task has been assigned yet. When they are satiated with playing in the light, they will seek something to do on their own, and the angels and archangels will teach them. They learn to mimic water, fire, air, earth, flowers, leaves, stems, fruits, and particles, of course. But they have only rudimentary intelligence, a gift of imitation that transforms them into what they see. But when they finally learn to become their goal and reproduce it perfectly in smell, color, shape, texture, and duration, they perform their task for centuries. They incarnate, have infinite patience, do not know boredom, even if they experience what it's like to feel uncomfortable in an environment for which they were not born, like having to reproduce in the impurity left by humans in water, on earth, amid crime, hate, shame, and selfishness. Because the reward they usually aspire to is the approval and love of humans. They rebel against the love and gratitude of those they serve, and these are the cataclysms, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, and all calamities caused by nature that are nothing but the rebellion of desperate elementals. Love them, praise them, express your gratitude to them, especially to the elemental charged with reshaping your body for each incarnation and keeping it in good working order, so that you are not among those who contribute to future natural disasters. In this way, the elemental of your body will appreciate you and take good care of you, so that you remain healthy and beautiful. The seventh race, and now to conclude, I give you here all the instruction with this third book. I deliver the complete teaching to you. If you practice with willingness and utmost sincerity everything I have revealed to you in this series of books, you will be anointed, which means being liberated from material laws, being under grace, no longer having to struggle for anything. For you will have in your voice and your word a wand of power. With a simple mental and verbal statement, the Father's will shall be done in our entire world, and you will no longer need to study, read, or seek communications or messages. For you will be guided solely by the small voice of your higher self, which will guide you on your own path and no one else's, without errors or hesitations. To assist in the development of the flames, we have adopted a small book entitled Daily Meditations, belonging to the literature emitted by the organization called The Bridge to Freedom, directed by the Ascended Master Moria, director of the Blu-ray under the pseudonym of Thomas Prince. We have adapted this booklet to the Spanish language for the happiness and benefit of Latin American students. By developing the flames within you, you will become a candidate for ascension, the most coveted state on our planet Earth. This means having reached the end of the heavy cycle of obligatory reincarnations, having been purified from the karma of past centuries, and manifesting your own divine plan, for which we have been created and supported through so many ages. For we have arrived at the end of times, the new world announced by Master Jesus, at the hour of salvation and accepted time. Venezuela is the capital of the new era, Caracas the new Jerusalem. The dizzying race we are going through is the result of the haste torturing the planet to prepare for the arrival of the seventh root race that must be born in Venezuela. 1,000 children of the seventh race were born in 1969. They are a race of geniuses, clairvoyants, and clairaudience. They are already born mature, cultured, patient, and extremely courteous. They do not need schools, colleges, or universities. As they grow, their superiority naturally manifests and confirms itself. They will gradually take the reins of everything that exists, governments, chairs, corporate and organizational leadership, for their sublime knowledge will point out errors even to the most experienced, as we state here. So, prepare yourself, stay vigilant, and observe the children you see being born around you. as well as any signs of something strange. It is your duty to warn parents and educate them. The generalization of ignorance reigning in the world has prevented people from educating themselves in child psychology, and every day you will increasingly witness the lamentable misunderstanding with which parents face their children. The moment young people are going through, with their delinquency, sexual libertinism, their will to create the most annoying noise possible, their student struggles, their university wars, etc., is the result of the collision between a new order and the old. If parents rush to study child psychology, they will be prepared to endure the arrival of the new era with all the necessary understanding. If they do not, they will find themselves forced to study metaphysics. But knowing themselves unprepared, it will cost them a lot of work and fierce struggle. The first step for anyone without spiritual consciousness is psychology, appropriate invocations to activate the violet flame and other flames. I am the victorious presence of the omnipotent that envelops me now in my cloak of the most dazzling light that renders me invisible and invincible to all human creation forever. It is an invocation of protection and must be done daily to create momentum that will last eternally. I am the victorious presence of God that keeps me wrapped in my pillar of violet fire, a light in all my being and my world, transmuting all my human creations, all energy misused by me against all elements, animals, creatures, all life, all man, woman, and child, all cause and core of destructive and impure negative thought, all design, model, habit of hate, jealousy, ill will or disagreement, of slander, lies, vengeance, angers, so that they are transmuted. Repeat this phrase 3 times, and all effects, recordings, and memories before they can act, manifest, or sustain, until they are of perfect purity. Whenever we find ourselves repeating a negative, destructive, or undesirable act, I am the law of forgiveness and the transmuting flame of all the mistakes I have made. I am the transmuting flame of all the errors of all humanity. I am lit in violet fire, free from all human creation, and now and forever supported by the beloved presence of God in me, in your name, Claire. I am the resurrection and the life of glory. The mastery and power that my etheric body had in the heart of the sun before the world existed, I dissolve all lower traces by the power of the sacred fire against any phenomenal manifestation that hinders us at any time. I close the astral door, my aura, and the aura of my home. I invoke the angels of the pink flame to permeate and surround this manifestation, and I ask the same for the entire planet, an exorcism to drive away any entity that disturbs us or pretends to incorporate itself into us or others. In the name of the beloved presence of God, I am within me. If you know of a man, address him thus: I invoke you. I send you my love. I love you. I love you. I love you. And now, in love, return to the Father and attend to your affairs just as I do here on earth. So be it for those who depart from the earthly plane every day. In the name of the beloved presence, I am within me. I invoke the adored Archangel Michael on behalf of every man, woman, and child who passes away in this 24-hour period. Instantly sever the magnetic ties that hold them on earth, the passions and appetites that might anchor them to the earth. Send your angelic hosts to envelop them and swiftly take them through the stream of the earth's atmosphere, leading them to plains of light and peace, preparing them to stand before the karmic tribunal in garments white as snow. Accept the good from my own causal body as an offering to this grand council of judgment, so that these souls may be led to schools where they can best learn the law and be reborn, if necessary, in harmony, to achieve their individual victories in the light. Thank you, beloved Prince of the angelic hosts, for your presence among us, for your constant care and protection at the hour of our passage and in all our days. For all those tormented in lower and dark planes, beloved presence of God, I am within me and in them. In the name of the beloved Master Jesus Christ, I invoke the angels and entities of the blue flame. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Sever the ties for all those languishing in darkness, and who have no one to intercede for them, beloved Prince Michael. Take them to planes of study, peace, and light. Thank you for those who are on the brink of death. Beloved presence of God, I am within me. I bow to what is necessary for this brother, and I ask the Holy Comforter to envelop their soul and all their loved ones with peace, manifesting only in the final moments of their passage on this planet. Peace, harmony, happiness, and purity swiftly and gently pass from their material temple to the realm of the Spirit. For those on the brink of birth, beloved presence of God, I am within me and in them. Beloved Archangel Gabriel, ignite the flame of resurrection around those awaiting the moment to incarnate, so they may bring the glory of their critical beings to life. So be it. To say daily, invoking the entity called the crystal of the blue ray, beloved crystal, I lovingly invoke you to entrust the purification of all my past incarnations, from the beginning of time until today. Purify all my vehicles and my entire world, including all energy used by me that makes me responsible in life and action of others. Thank you. To say each night, invoking protection for our house against thieves, nocturnal entities, and vandals. Angels of the pink flame, come 3 times, inflame 3 times, the pink flame of divine love around my house, my windows, and my doors. Protect my neighbors, my loved ones, and may anyone who touches the edge of this cloak feel divine love and lose all desire to harm others' property. Thank you for preventing harm by third parties and for doing good to those who ask for it. Beloved presence of God within me, and in your name, I speak to the Christ in you and address him directly. I remind you that you are a perfect child of God, generous, noble, just, and honorable. I salute you, I acknowledge you, and I remind you that you do not want your lower self to act in any way contrary to the immaculate concept. Thank you, for I already know that you are organizing your temple to uncover lies and resentment in us and in others, in the name of the beloved presence of God within me. I cover this situation with the cloak of truth, of the green flame, and I want to see it. Thank you, Father. Thank you very much for your visit.